In 1996, the highest roller coaster in the world opened. Located 900 feet above the ground, it would offer breathtaking views over Las Vegas. The only problem was that it was basically a family attraction in the sky, and would become just another extinct Vegas coaster.
Are you insane enough to experience the high point of adrenaline rushes? You've never ridden so high, so close to the edge. On top of it all, steep thrills, the tower, the high point of Las Vegas.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare, the online learning community for creatives, with thousands of classes. Skillshare is actually how I learnt to use Premiere Pro to edit these very videos. Taking creative classes, you can find exactly what you need to continue growing and learning. The introduction to Adobe After Effects has helped me learn to create new graphics, like this. Look at it spin. The best part of Skillshare is that you can jump around to all sorts of topics, be it video editing, photography, audio recording, which is one thing I knew nothing about. It's a community that you can discover exactly what you need, all included in short, easy to learn classes. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare to try out all of these creative classes. The idea for the Stratosphere in Vegas began as a 1,000-foot tall neon sign tower to promote the Vegas World Hotel and Casino. After submitting plans for the sign, casino boss Bob Stupak withdrew them to be revised to include an observation deck. The new plan would include a $50 million, 1,012-foot observation tower designed by the same architect, Ned Baldwin, who had worked on the CN Tower in Toronto. This new plan would create the tallest structure in the state of Nevada. The early plans included an idea for the world's first indoor African lion park. This was luckily scrapped. In February 1992, construction began on the tower. It would be located directly north of the Las Vegas Strip in a not so great neighborhood. Originally planned to open in 1994, multiple issues forced it to be delayed, such as a fire and financial difficulties. While it was under construction, Stupak decided that he wanted to make it even taller and beat the CN Tower by 10 feet. This plan was rejected, but they were given a height of 1,149 feet. On April 30th, 1996, the $550 million Stratosphere complex opened to the public after a grand celebration with 8,000 invited VIP guests.
It's like a spaceship sitting on a launch pad, and the countdown for the grand opening of the tallest building west of the Mississippi is T-minus 6 days and counting. One look at the Stratosphere Tower and Resort, and it brings out the oohs and ahs.
I'm excited. I want to be the first ones up there. Can't wait.
This brand new observation tower will be the tallest freestanding observation tower in the United States. On top of the landmark tower would be two unique attractions, though initially there were supposed to be three. King Kong would scale the tower with riders on board. Seriously, a 70-foot replica of the giant ape would scale 600 feet up the side of the Stratosphere, carrying 48 riders. Planned to open in December 1996, Kong would have arms and a head that could move left and right, along with being able to roar. After climbing the tower, Kong would continue to slip back down 30 feet at a time, offering a freefall element to the attraction. When this was announced, however, how this would happen wasn't fully thought out. But all that was said was that Kong would climb out of a cage at the base of the tower, climb up, and slide down into smoke. In May, a month after the resort opened, the idea was delayed because the design and engineering of this attraction was taking longer than expected. They promised it would be worth the wait, and not just an elevator ride in a gorilla. They also stated the attraction would cost $6 million. By July 1996, the attraction was scrapped. It was, unsurprisingly, determined to be unfeasible. When asked about the project, they said it was an engineering challenge to say the least, especially since the resort was operating at a huge loss in its opening year. 2 rides would open though. Firstly, Big Shot, a 160-foot tall S&S space shot that was located at the top of the tower on its needle. At 1,081 feet above ground, it was the highest thrill ride in the world. The second highest in the world sat on top of the tower's observation pod and would be the world's highest roller coaster, the Let It Ride High Roller, or just High Roller. Situated at the 909-foot mark of the United States' tallest freestanding tower was an 865-foot-long family roller coaster. Designed by guru of roller coaster design, Werner Stengel, in collaboration with Italian ride company Structures and Machine Construction, who were formed from former workers of SDC, who had built many family coasters before going bankrupt. S&MC USA would be the independent sales arm of the Italian company who would help finish High Roller. This new attraction would be the new company's second coaster after Hurricane at Playland Park in New York. Dubbed the furthest coaster from dirt, the Let It Ride High Roller would encircle the top of the observation pod. Executive Vice President of the Stratosphere promised it would be one of the scariest coasters in the world. Paul Witkins, director of the city's building inspection department, said that if he was a roller coaster rider, he would ride it with no concerns.
Oh, we might mention there are a couple rides up here 1,000 feet off the ground, the highest roller coaster in the world, and the world's highest thrill ride that takes you 160 feet up in just 2 seconds.
The attraction would originally be sponsored by the Let It Ride card game, which is based on poker, combining the world's highest coaster with the world's richest table game, according to the hotel. Opening with the resort, it was not without its fair share of issues. In the first week, a cylinder fell off the coaster and cracked the window of the glass observation deck located below. The ride was closed and it was deemed the flying object was not a safety issue. With 9 carriages in the train, using overhead restraints, High Roller only reached around 30 miles per hour on its relatively short track. If this ride was on the ground, it would essentially be a wacky worm. No offense to wacky worms, of course. This ride wasn't on the ground though. It was 900 feet up in the air. Wrapping around the pod 3 times, charging $5 per person to ride, you would go around the track twice per cycle. While it did not go over the side of the observation pod, it did offer incredible views during the ride. High Roller was really only around 3 stories above a concrete landing. One newspaper states, when asked how safe the ride was, ride engineer for the High Roller pointed to the wheels and said, "You have wheels on top, on side, and on the bottom. It isn't going anywhere." Ironically, later in 1996, 2 wheels would fall off the ride, causing it to slightly derail. Those on board were evacuated and given a refund. While the ride itself may not have been super intense, it certainly looked impressive wrapping around the top of the tower. The reception to it though was mixed to say the least. This wasn't just not very thrilling. High Roller's excitement was said to come from the fact it felt like you were hanging over the side of the tower. It didn't really feel like this though because of the pod being directly below you. Your enjoyment of this coaster really stemmed down to one thing: how scary heights were for you and how much you enjoyed the view.
This is one ride that guarantees to get the adrenaline pumping. It takes a considerable amount of courage just to climb aboard this coaster, let alone ride it.
The attraction lasted less than 1 minute, and while offering a premium view, it was just slow and pretty boring if you were looking for more than just a ride around the top. It was often ranked as one of the most overrated coasters in the world. In 1997, just 1 year after opening, the ride closed for some updates to try and improve the experience. The trains on the ride were shortened, and the seats raised higher to try and make it more exciting and feel somewhat faster. Customers for the ride repeatedly told the resort they wanted more speed and a better view, and the resort had tried to do this by raising those seats. It didn't work. In the early 2000s, as more rides got added to the top of the tower, such as Extreme and later Insanity, the High Roller became less and less popular. It never offered the thrills or received the same fanfare as the Big Shot, and was considered quite poor in comparison. If there is such a thing as a tame ride 900 feet in the air, the High Roller was it. After 9.5 years and nearly 4 million riders, the High Roller was closed in December 2005. When asked, the resort said it just felt like it had kind of run its course. There are a lot of bigger opportunities for bigger and better things. The more in-depth reason was that it needed a $500,000 refurbishment that the resort deemed was not worth it. The original cost in 1996 was only $900,000. It needed new hydraulics since they were so old and required a huge amount of maintenance. To remove the High Roller, it was said it would take over 3 months and a high crane. Rather than this, they would use plasma cutting to speed up the removal of the coaster and take the track pieces down in an elevator bit by bit. This also meant that flammable gas cutting wouldn't be used, increasing safety. 11 workers would do overtime between 2 AM and 8 AM to cut High Roller into 367 3-foot-long pieces. Each weighing 300 pounds, the segments were slowly taken apart and removed until all of the 110,000 pound coaster was gone. It took around 45 days to fully dismantle. There was, however, one other planned ride for the Stratosphere that was never made, a 740-foot tall Aerodynamics coaster. In 2001, Aero planned and designed a $20 million fishhook coaster that would start with a vertical elevator for the vehicle before dropping 740 feet and reaching speeds of 122 miles per hour. The track would then go over Las Vegas Boulevard into a 415-foot tall vertical rollback. This idea was highly opposed, due to it being so close to residents, and at one point the design was changed to feature enclosed trains to try and keep the noise low. The Stratosphere were not giving up, however. A fierce battle surrounded the ride, with the hotel saying it needed it to compete with other attractions, such as the Adventure Dome and Speed the Ride. The earlier King Kong ride had been given city approval with no expiration, and the resort suggested that they would revive that project, which nobody wanted to see, if the Las Vegas City Council were to reject this new coaster. They also threatened that they would withdraw financial support for the Las Vegas monorail project if it was not approved. The council did not approve the ride, and the Stratosphere did withdraw funding for the monorail, making it take many years for the monorail to take a stop at the resort. The heavy opposition caused the coaster to be redeveloped. This time, it would be 510 feet tall. Shortly after, however, Aero would go bankrupt, though this did not stop the resort wanting to build it. In 2002, the hotel took legal action in an effort to force the ride to be built. It lost its challenges in court in 2002, and the ride was never made. In 2014, a new 550-foot tall Ferris wheel opened in the city, using the name High Roller. For many, this is what they now think of related to this name. After the ride was removed, it was not really missed. The attraction had a very mixed to negative response, and just wasn't that exciting, even that high from the ground. No matter what though, riding any attraction this high up is definitely a unique experience. The view was of course incredible. Even from opening, many people gravitated towards the Big Shot for a much more thrilling experience. High Roller wasn't really a great roller coaster, it just had a good gimmick. From MGM Grand Adventures, Manhattan Express, Speed the Ride, Desperado, yeah, anytime I can put this clip in, I'm gonna do it.
That was stupid.
The attractions at the Luxor Hotel, as well as the Adventure Dome, Las Vegas roller coaster and theme park history is extremely rocky, and the High Roller is no exception. It was just another Vegas coaster that failed to hit the big time. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Expedition Extinct. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to join the expedition. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram for updates on upcoming episodes. Would you like to see a new roller coaster open in Las Vegas? Let me know in the comments below. A special thank you to our Patreons for supporting the channel, and we will see you next time.